Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Welcome to the class of CS103 Computer Programming. This is the post-mid session, but what I'll try to do is I'll try to tell you about the updates that we have for CS103 since we are going online after the midterms and we have to adjust to the online education. So what I've decided to do is that I've tried to go through all the previous lectures for you since this is computer programming and I need to explain all the concepts before I move on to the latest lectures. So I'll be uploading lectures at a very fast rate. Most of these lectures, or actually the beginning lectures, will be going through the concepts that you have already studied in your pre-mid course, but very soon we'll catch up with the contents of your post-mid course. Something that I need to tell you about is that I've decided to introduce a project in this course for you. That project will be utilized as a probably your lab final as well as for your post project. So you need to be very vigilant about how you do it. Otherwise, you might fail both your lab and your course. What I want you to do is or what I want you to know is that that project constitutes a lot of weightage now, and your final exam will also, some part of your final exam will also consist of viva from that particular project. So you need to be extra careful about it. In addition to that, I think I'll be working a lot on my lectures during this time, and I've updated the introductory lecture for that purpose to tell you more about the various things and various technical details that you might require. So without further ado, let's get started with the introduction and to see what are the updated changes. So as you already know me, I'm the course instructor for CS103 Computer Programming. My name is Dr. Raja Hashim Ali, and I'm going to teach this course for the first time. Although I've taught the similar course CS101, the Introduction to Computing, for that is being offered to students of other faculties twice. My email is hashim.ali@giki.edu.pk. You must remember to add the CS103 in the subject if you want to communicate with me or to get replies from me on that. And this is just to clarify that by your reg numbers, it becomes very hard for me to identify which course you're talking about. Since I'm also teaching the course CS131, discrete structures, to the CE section, it becomes almost impossible for me to differentiate between AI and CE. One thing that I also need to tell you is that it's the same problem that I will face in the online education when you chat to me on Microsoft Teams. So you must remember to add CS103 in your chats as well. My office is in G13, so some of you will be physically here and they can meet me during my office hours in G13 in the main lobby. You already know the place. My TA for this course is Sayyid Muhammad Arsalan. He's going to be assisting me for the first time in this course. His email is sayyid.arsalan@giki.edu.pk. His office is in G29 near the telephone exchange and at the ground floor in FCSC. And you can meet him during his office hours at his office. The class lectures, well, all lectures will basically be held online. Of course, the timings that I'll be trying to upload the lectures would be on Monday and Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. preferably, or 3:30 p.m. around that time. And well, the interactive session will be held on Thursday at 2:30 or 3:20, or basically 3:30 to 4:20. Whatever time is set for our class, we'll use that. I think it is going to be on Thursday at 3:30 to 4:20. The class webpage or email, I'll be using GIKI CMS for updating your attendances and your marks, as well as I'll be using it to update you on online education, most of the basic things. But remember to check your Microsoft Teams channel all the time throughout, because I'll be giving you updates on that page mostly. Um, you need to keep an eye on the Google Drive page as well, since the results will be uploaded on that page, as well as the lectures materials would also be uploaded on that page, although the video lectures and the links etc. would be shared on Microsoft Teams. The email policy is very simple. Email, this is also the same thing for chats as well. You must always include CS103 in the subject of your email and as prefix to your message on Teams, so that I can clearly know which subject you're talking about. I also wish you to use the TA as much as possible wherever required. The textbook that we'll be using and that I've used so far is by Devinder S. Malik, C++ Programming from Problem Analysis to Problem Design, the 8th edition, which was published in 2018. You can see the cover page of the book here. The reference book that I'll be using is by Detail and Detail, C++ How to Program, the 10th edition, the 2017, which was published in 2017. You can also see the cover page of the book here. Then I must talk about the evaluation and rules, which have been updated because we're going to go online. So I've kind of updated them as much as possible. We have already held your one assignment, which constitutes 5% of your total weightage. We've already held 5 in-class exercises, which constitute up to 10% of your total weightage. We've already held your midterm, which constitutes around 20% of your weightage. Then we're going to have a project, which is going to be about 35% of your total weightage, and finally a final exam, excuse me, which constitutes 30% of your final weightage. And I'll be strictly enforcing the following rules. You need to see all in-class exercises and midterm are closed book and closed notes. You've already held both of them, so we are done. All projects and final exams will be open book Viva based exams. So I'll be taking Viva of your project and of your final exam. All projects are to be done alone. It also includes the final exam, of course. And you should not take help from anyone else. And by anyone, it means anyone other than the instructor, that is me. So if I come to know that you have taken help from another person, or your code is very similar, or even your design is similar to another person, I'll be holding you responsible for it. And if you're unable to answer me in the Viva, I'll assume this as cheating. And the penalty for cheating is really strict, as we'll be probably seeing in a couple of minutes. You should schedule 2 project meetings with me to discuss your project statement. Basically, those meetings should be scheduled, both of these meetings should be scheduled in the next week. The ideal time, I would say, for the first meeting would be probably somewhere around 14th and 15th. You schedule the first meeting where you discuss your solution, your problem, actually, your problem statement, what it requires, just that much. Maybe the first meeting should not be more than 15 minutes, probably in length. You can record it for your own reference, and then the second meeting should be held between, let's say, 16 to 18, or maybe 17th and 18th of December. And in that second meeting, you should discuss your solution with me and your design, how you want to design your solution. That should be the agenda of the second meeting. We should further, we can arrange or schedule further meetings in the other weeks as well, as and when desired by you through appointment on Teams. But the further meetings will be basically asked by you, and I'll be taking those ones to answer certain queries or certain things, certain problems which you might be facing during the project. The attendance policy is really simple. You should be attending up to 34 lectures out of the 45 lectures. And the way I'll be marking your attendance might be based on the probably on your scheduled meetings with me, as well as maybe on the interactive sessions. The video lectures that I'll be uploading might not be marked for any attendance. But we'll see. I think you should see the lectures. You should give your feedback along, maybe on the lectures if you wish. And yeah, I think that's pretty much about it about attendance. Attendance. I'll try not to mark through your video lectures anyway. Um, or an alternate, I'm not so sure yet. Could be that I can take it through comments on YouTube lectures, but yeah, let's not do it. Let's not go on that manner. The attendance will only be based on roll call through Teams in the interactive session. Remember not to put proxy of your friend, or it will be very hard. Some of the rules that you need to remember are that you need to mute your mic when you enter the class. So if your mics are unmuted and they're causing noise or any kind of problem, I'll kick out the student straight away, and you might be banned from the class for the next lecture as well. So remember, if you're kicked out, you miss 3 attendances straight away, because in the interactive session, the attendance is only marked through the attendance for the whole week will be marked, and that means an unmuted student will miss 3 classes straight away. So please remember not ever to enter the class with your mics open or unmuted, or as soon as you enter the class, you should unmute your mic. You should always raise your hand to ask any question if you have, or if you have any queries. You should not simply unmute your mic on your own, or interrupt the instructor or question by any other student, or give your own comments as well during. The simple way is that you should raise your hand, and I'll try to ask you to unmute your mic and ask question. Or the other simple way is, yeah, of course, when you're talking, try to turn on your video. And again, this is a preference rather than a compulsion. It's always preferred that you turn on your video to talk to me. But if you're uncomfortable, of course, I understand, and I will not ask you to turn on your video. Creating any kind of disturbance or mischief in the online session, for example, kicking your fellow students out or trying to create any mess or disturbance, will not be tolerated whatsoever. So the simple thing that I'm going to do in that case is going to kick you out of the final exam. So you'll get a 0 in your final exam if you do any such kind of activity. So please remember not to create any disturbance in that lecture. One thing, if you have any questions, and it might be better that you, when I'm answering someone else, or if there's any query that is left unanswered, please remember to use chat and raise hand option in the Microsoft Teams or Zoom, whatever you'll be using, to basically ask me questions. And if you don't do that, it becomes really hard for all of us to, or for me to communicate with you in a reasonable way. Always remember not to put your exercises, your assignments, your requests, or anything else under my office door or the TA's office door. We might not be able to look at them or even check them. Marking is performed by a TA for the in-class exercises and by me for midterm assignments, projects, and final exam. TA has already returned you the in-class exercises, mark them and return the solutions to them. If you have a question about marking exercises, you should talk to TA, and I'll only intervene if there's really something that is very unreasonable. But remember this thing, you should always follow the chain of command. If there's some problem in assignments or quizzes or those kind of things, you should always approach the TA first before coming to me. And once the TA is unable to solve it, I'll try my level best. You should bring it to my knowledge, and then I'll try to solve it. If it is not possible for me, and I tell you that I'm not going to do it, or if you disagree, Only then you're allowed to approach the dean or the higher authorities. If you approach to the dean without informing me, remember, I'll take a very strong opposition to this, and I might not even get your genuine concern corrected because it has not been approached through me. So you need to do that in order to uh, remain in harmony during the course. Of course, there's a limit of 5 days from when an exercise of quiz is handed back to you, and any kind of grading problem will be dealt accordingly. After that period, no such request will be entertained. Of course, the final exam is the exception to this rule, where the result is not shown to you at all. Cheating of any type whatsoever will not be tolerated. Remember that. If you cheat in final exams, it will lead to straight F. And by cheating, I simply mean any piece of code that is not done by you or which you cannot defend during your final exam. So if you cannot defend a thing, that will be constituted as cheating, and a cheating is going to, in the final exam, in the Viva section in particular, will lead to straight F in your course. Cheating in an assignment will result in -5 out of 5% in all assignments, although this is done, and so I didn't find anyone cheating, so I'm quite happy with the solutions here. Cheating in a midterm will result in a 20 out of 20% in midterm exam, and cheating in an in-class exercise, which constitutes 10% now, and I have not found anyone cheating here as well, so this is also not going to be implemented. Proxy for a friend will lead to 3 absentees for both students. Observe discipline of the class and do not disturb the class in any way. So, mobile phones, etc., tabs, etc., should preferably be not brought to class, although you can bring your laptop, and I think that was something that was preferred. Put your mobile phones on silent without any vibration. So, in case of any emergency, you can bring it to the class, but put them on silent or on vibration. Mobile phones will be confiscated for a week or up to 7 days in case it disturbs the class, and making noise in the class and talking to a friend will get expelled from the class and the next class without warning. In the online version, this may still take place, but if you create disturbance, it will lead to 3 absentees straight away. Because if you miss a single session or roll call of it, you miss 3 complete. You miss the whole week. That's the simple rule. Of course, you'll have to sleep during the lectures. I won't bug you, but please do not snore in the online interactive session, and remember to keep your mics muted all the time. The only time you are allowed to unmute your mic is when I ask you a question, specifically asking you by your reg number or by your name. Otherwise, please do not unmute your mic whatsoever, and do not create any kind of disturbances in the chat or anywhere else. What is the guide for getting a good grade in this course? Or learning programming? Well, there is no minimalist approach. There's no simple way. All the homeworks or in-class exercises should be sufficient. If you think that's the way, nope, that's not true. You're supposed to prepare for each lecture. You're supposed to prepare for each assignment, for each final, for the midterm, and for each task in the project. You should always use a programming ID along with the lecture and verify on your own while you're reading an example or going through a particular thing. You should practice as much as possible. Of course, programming is perfected once you practice it as much as you can. You improve your programming skills by doing more and more programming. There's no other shortcut in this particular scenario. You should always use or verify first on a programming IDE, for example, on Microsoft Code or Visual Studio Code or the command line ID that I showed you earlier, along with the lecture. So for example, wherever I'm giving examples or you have got certain queries that, some things need to be changed, what should be the result? The first thing is to verify it yourself on the programming IDE and then ask me the question. Similarly, your solutions of your tasks or your project or your final exam, etc., should first be verified on the IDE before submitting them into me. You should work regularly and not with breaks. So for example, most chapters are the building blocks of the next chapters. And if you want to view a video of let's say chapter 7, you need to have watched the first 6 chapters that are very much related to the to that chapter 7. It will be building upon that, and that means that on average every week you must be spending more than 8 hours on this course alone. No question, as you already know, and you have already seen for the midterm and your quizzes will ask you to, just put numbers in a formula. You need to know it, you need to apply it, you need to learn how to view the things in the particular programming paradigm. So the vision here is very important of how you are able to analyze the problem and then come up with the programming solution to it. Learning is not just the book alone or the class exercises or the notes or the homeworks or the project. It is basically a combination of each and everything. So you should focus on each and every task at hand. Think yourself. You're allowed to discuss solutions for quizzes and maybe assignments in midterm after it with your friends. But for projects and final exam, you're not supposed to discuss or let your friends even know what your solution looks like or your problem statement looks like. So that is something that is very that is going to be strictly enforced on you. um, well so now I think we need to go to the updated course outline and contents, and for that I'll be shifting to the second task, which is basically this my word file, and I'll be sharing it. This is in the course outline now, and yeah, so I'll be talking about this for now. This is the course CS103 Computer Programming. It's a 3 credit hour course, and it is taught to AI, CE, and CS students. It does not have any prerequisites. Your instructors for the AI section is Dr. Raza Hashim Ali, which is me. For CE section, it is Dr. Taj Muhammad Khan, and for CS section, it's Mr. Engineer Ali Shokat. My office is in G13 in GIK Institute, and this is my email address where you can contact me. My office hours are given here. And the mode that I'll be using for this course is asynchronous, where I'll be using 2 lectures and 1 interactive session held on Thursday. And the asynchronous lectures will be uploaded probably on Monday or Tuesday. The course introduces you to the concepts of computing and programming to a freshman. It starts from definitions and descriptions of software, hardware and their types and their history, memory and types of memory, and networks and their types. This is then followed by introducing the basic concepts of computer programming, algorithms, and software programming within the broader domain of computing. The course uses C++ as a programming language for demonstration and learning, but is general enough to be applied to any language. So of course, our main language is going to be C++ to understand the programming concepts, but you can apply it to Java or any other language as well. At least the structural programming approach can be applied. Of course, the object-oriented and the other stuff is not part of this course, and that will be studied in probably in the next semester. So the contents here are given, and I'll not go through them for now. There are 2 CLOs that you need to satisfy, and we've already gone through them and already done them in or during our course, during the quizzes. They've been marked through your exercises here, and here is the important thing thing that we have changed. So your quizzes now constitute 10% of your total marks, assignments constitute 5% of your total marks, midterm exam constitutes 20% of your total marks, the project constitutes 35% of your exam, and your final exam will basically be 30% in total. The text and reference book that we are using for this course is, as I've already mentioned, is Devinder S. Malek, C++ programming from problem analysis to problem design, the 8th edition, and similarly Detail in Detail, C++ how to program, 10th edition. Here are some of the instructions that are still the same, but here's a lecture breakdown. In the first lecture, in week 1, we'll be talking about introduction to computer programming, introduction to algorithms, logic building, flowchart and pseudocode, overview of computers and programming languages. In the second week, we'll be talking about the basic elements of C++, the basics of a C++ program, data types, variables, input-output functions, etc. In the third week, we'll be talking about basic elements of C++ again, arithmetic operators, operator precedence, and expressions, typecasting, string type, variables, assignment statements, and input statements, increment and decrement operators. The fourth week, we'll be talking about basic elements of C++, debugging, understanding and fixing syntax errors, programming style and form. In week 5, we'll be talking about control structures 1, selection. We'll be talking about relational operators, logical operators, selection if and if else, nested if else with examples. Then in the next week, we'll be talking about switch statement, case statements, break statement, default, repetition, while loop, for loop, do while loop, which will then be followed by further by nested loops, break and continue statements, debugging of loops, etc. In the next week, we'll be talking about arrays and strings and different other operators and options that are available for arrays and strings. Then then we basically had the midterm, and this is so far what we've covered until the midterm. The topics that we are going to talk in the next 6 odd weeks is basically pointers, static arrays, dynamic arrays, two-dimensional arrays using pointers. We'll be talking about user-defined functions further, talking about predefined functions, user-defined functions, value returning functions, void functions, value parameters, reference variables parameters, pass by value and pass by reference parameters. We're talking about reference parameter and value returning functions, etc. Um, uh, Scope of an identifier, global variable, named constant and side effects, static and automatic variables, function overloading, default parameters. It will then be followed by what is a header and function declaration in headers, recursion, recursive definition, problem solving using recursion. We'll continue on with further examples for recursion, and this will then be followed by advanced topics in pointers, exception handling, and stack overflow, etc. for your guidance. So this is the course outline that I'm intending to follow, and these are the updated stuff. So with this, I think we can now talk about um, the different options here, and I think that's about it for the changes that we're going to bring for online education. And the online part of the CS103 course is now going to be conducted in the upcoming lectures. This is my lecture 0, my introductory lecture, and I'll be uploading all the lectures along the way so that you're all aware of it and you're all comfortable with this course. The interactive session, of course, the first interactive session that I'll hold on Friday or Thursday, sorry. Yeah, it will be held on Thursday next week. Will basically be about all of these lectures that I'll be uploading in this week. It includes initial lectures as well as the later lectures. If you have any queries, you can probably ask me during the interactive session. Thank you so much, and I hope you're going to learn quite a few things with me during this particular course. I hope you've already learned a lot when you were doing this physically, but I think now this becomes even more important as you have a programming project coming up very soon in a week's time. So take care, and I hope all the best to all of you. Allah Hafiz.